Okay, so here we are in sunny Austin with the great Dennis Livingston, MBR Director of Avivo Water. Dennis, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Simon. I appreciate the opportunity.
You know, obviously what you're most famous for is your axe shredding exploits. I mean, you've been doing rock guitar for quite some time, I believe.
30 plus years at this
30
point.
plus years,
Right.
OMG. It does make one wonder which came first, the sort of rock guitar or the sewage treatment. I'm scratching my head now trying to think if there was any sort of seminal Allman Brothers track which did actually mention sewage treatment in any way.
Whipping Post, I think, alluded to it somehow.
It's a close fit. It's a
Right,
close fit.
right.
We'll take that one, I think, as being the seminal record. So, how did you actually get into wastewater treatment then?
It started in college. I went to university for chemical engineering. That was in Arizona State, at Arizona State. And then after leaving or graduating from the college, got a job at Motorola in the semiconductor industry, working in a high purity water application
All right.
with membranes. And at that time, there was a consulting engineer from Austin that I was doing some work with.
Mm-hmm.
And he seemed to like what I was doing there, so he invited me to Austin to come work for his firm here. And I then drug my wife kicking and screaming from Arizona to Texas. To say, she didn't want to go at the time, but now she loves Austin, loves Texas. We have 3 kids here, so we're staying here for the long haul. But when I got to Texas, still working in semiconductor, doing high purity water applications, but I started taking classes at the University of Texas in environmental engineering.
Right.
And working in focusing on water and wastewater,
Okay.
biological treatment. And this job happened to come up that the way it was posted, it combined the two. It said, okay, this new technology that we're bringing to the U.S. combines membranes and wastewater treatment, which to me seemed
Perfect. Yeah.
perfect and
Yeah.
novel at the time.
Well, it certainly would have been at that time, I think. I
Right.
mean, when you talking early 2000s?
Right, 2001.
Right.
And so I jumped at the opportunity and was able to be hired by EnviroQuip at the time, by Mr. Jim Porteous. And it was kind of funny because he said, excuse me, that he said, Dennis, I'm not sure if this technology will take off at all, if it'll be accepted by the market, so you can learn about the other technologies, clarifiers, conventional activated sludge, other technologies that EnviroQuip had been working on and selling since the 60s. And then in a couple of years, maybe we'll start to travel a little bit. And within 3 weeks, I was traveling 50% of the time, and the technology was not only accepted, but it was embraced pretty quickly. And we got our first couple of projects in the Northwest, and it's been a wild ride ever since.
I'm just thinking back through time. So you were employed in 2001. Running Springs was installed in 2004. That's a fairly sizable plant.
Yeah, it was actually 2003, and we started working with them in 2002. So our first project was at the Bandon Dunes Golf Resort in Oregon,
Uh-huh.
125,000 gallon per day system. And actually, that engineer that I worked with was just at our workshop yesterday. And then we started working with the Running Springs Water District shortly thereafter, and that project happened 2003. It's a .6. It was a .6 MGD plant, a conversion of an old activated sludge system, and it's been since expanded. We've actually used 3 different types of membrane technology and different blower technologies over the last,
Mhm.
how many years is that now? 15
yeah.
years, and we've upgraded and expanded now to 1 MGD plant today.
Okay, right. So obviously a lot of retrofitting going on there.
Yeah, the tanks are pretty big because it was activated sludge, and they went to, they anticipated them going to a tighter phosphorus limit.
Right.
So there's plenty of tankage, plenty of volume there. We upgraded a couple of the bigger tanks to MBRs combined with pre-aeration. It was actually the first enhanced biological phosphorus removal MBR in the U.S.
Wow, really?
So another first.
Wow, that's pretty impressive because of course phosphorus removal is pretty widespread now. I would have thought.
Right.
In most plants. Yeah.
Yeah, not so much back then.
I'm glad you mentioned, as you did very briefly, the operator's workshop because I don't actually know personally of any other company that does that, sort of have regular events just focused on the operators. So, I mean, how long have they been going?
We've been doing that since 2004.
Right.
And the first one was actually in a smaller hotel here in Austin. And there were 30 or so operators that showed up, many of them local. And then at its peak in 2016, we had about 200 operators and some engineers from all over the country come to spend a couple days with us. We took a break for a couple of years just to change up the format a little bit, and really in anticipation of the opening of our Knowledge Center, where it's actually kind of a combined design center, training, operator certification facility, with the first membrane manufacturing plant that's dedicated to making membrane modules for the MBR industry or market. So waited a couple of years, and then you attended or participated in the event. Thank you for that, by the way.
No worries.
And great job moderating. Everyone loved it. Must be the accent. I don't know.
I don't know.
Right.
This isn't really about me, though, Dennis, is it?
But yeah, it had another 150 people there, and I think it was seemed to be a success. But the presentation piece was what we've always done in the past was good, but we had a lot of hands-on training this time, which was something interesting. And
It's interesting that you should actually, like I say, choose to do that. I mean, what do you think the delegates actually take away from that? What do you think is the most effective part of that particular event?
I think the forum is a bit different in that it's focused on operators, but it's also very open in that we are focusing on problems at the system level or the component level, and solutions, but it's not glossy and salesy. It's operators talking to operators about real problems and how to fix those problems. So I think the participants appreciate the sincerity of it, and really it's a networking event for operators. They like getting in touch with other practitioners across the country, dealing with some of the same issues and resolving them. Gives them a comfort level, I think, and more resources and references to fall back on.
And then partying very hard afterwards.
Right, and it's all, yeah, the partying afterwards is also I think part of the allure of the event.
Yes, there's no denying that. Obviously, you started off with just the flat plate membranes. You've recently introduced the sheet, the sort of flexible sheet, what I call composite membranes,
Okay.
as well in the last few years. But you've also got ceramic membranes in there somewhere as well. So you've kind of got a foot in most camps there.
Right.
So
Well, the flat plate technology is great. We started with that in 2001. We still have many plants, facilities we support that use the plates in different configurations, different sizes. And there are some real pros to the technology, but there are a couple of areas where we thought we could maybe improve a little bit, going to the composite type sheet membrane, in particular the space and energy efficiency, but really we tried to address the worst case what if for an MBR, what if dewiring or clogging happens, which is where the solids kind of form between the plates. The regular CIP, you can't remove it. I know you know about that, but
I know a little bit about
Right,
that.
a little bit about that.
Just a bit.
and with the composite membrane, it seems it's a little easier for the operators to recover from that if and when it happens. And our data kind of suggests maybe 20% of plants actually have some degree of dewatering that's worth looking at or a problem. So for us as a system supplier, we try to make sure that if we're going to innovate at any component or at any level, that we're improving in terms of efficiency, and that we're also increasing the reliability of the system overall. So that was kind of the impetus between moving from the plate to the sheet. Same thing for the ceramic.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the ceramic is a much better fit for the high solids applications. Polymerics can be good, but they're limited. And what we've seen, they're kind of limited to about 2.5%, 3% solids, and the flux is very low,
Sure.
given their hydrophobicity. Sorry, I had to throw a big word in there.
I think hydrophobicity
Right?
is good. We can go with that.
Can we go with that one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The ceramics, of course, as you know, they're much more hydrophilic, so the fluxes are higher,
Mm-hmm.
but they're a little more robust as well in highly viscous, high solids applications. So we're looking at, okay, what membranes fit best where,
Right.
and it seems like the ceramics are really better for the higher solids environment. Starting there, we'll see where they go in the future.
And where do you think that'll be? I mean, do you see ceramics ever taking over completely from the polymerics?
You know, the polymerics are taking, or making such strides, I think, in terms of robustness or durability. Of course, now we have the factory here in the US, right, which is unique a little bit. And we're
Absolutely.
hoping with that kind of setup that we can get feedback from operators and keep making improvements and innovating for the polymeric module design. So I see a long future there, but ceramics will come up if the cost can come down.
Absolutely,
Right.
it's all about the bottom line, isn't it?
Fluxes are higher, if we keep them higher, then they become more cost competitive. So I see the next 5 to 10 years, they'll be making inroads into
Excellent.
the MBR
Yeah.
side of things, not just the thickener side of things. And we'll
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
see what it takes us.
Okay, I think we've sort of covered just about every aspect of the technology in your very cogent report there. But thinking of yourself personally, what do you think the future holds for you? You've been working in this area for a very long time, probably longer than anyone else in North America, in MBR specifically.
Well, when you put it
Perhaps
that
one
way,
or two-
it has been a
Perhaps
long
one or
time,
two
right?
exceptions, but it
Right.
has been a long time. So, where do you think yourself?
Scary.
How do you see yourself in the future?
Well, I'm still a firm believer in the technology. I'm quite passionate about it when it comes across, but I'm almost sick actually about it. I would say dedicated. I say. I want to take it to the next level in terms of integrating the technology with other new other technologies that will really kind of take it to the next level, MBR, in terms of energy efficiency and nutrient recovery, reuse and things like that. But really, we're focused on retrofit and the repurposing of existing infrastructure. There are so many old and failing plants out there, so much investment really in infrastructure that needs to be upgraded. Instead of just trashing all that, MBR just seems like a really clean, sleek way to upgrade those facilities quickly so that they can handle more flow and meet tighter permit limits. Just a good deal for everybody.
Excellent, and that's a very good place to leave it. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Dennis Livingston.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Cheers. Bye.
So what did you think of the party last night?
I was absolutely in your thrall.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, thinking how does he do those licks?
was music was okay.
Oh yeah,
The style.
we were there the whole time, man. Yeah,
I appreciate it.